Hey, Mommy, who's the lady behind Daddy? At the sleepy words of my daughter, I froze.
Who is behind him? What are you talking about, Eve?
I knew I shouldn't ask any further, but my mouth moved on its own. Rubbing her eyes and looking drowsy, my daughter pointed at an image on my open laptop. Here, behind Daddy. I felt even more suffocated at her words. She could see it too. Taking my eyes off my daughter, I glanced at the screen and saw my husband's face, looking more pale than me. He had been boasting about how having an affair made a man more manly, but now he looked pathetic. We were on a video call during his business trip, and we were in the midst of a heated argument about his infidelity. He should be the only person on the screen, but my daughter was pointing to the right side of the image. Summoning my courage, I stared at the window in the background that was visible on the screen. My name is Brianna, and I am a 35-year-old housewife who works part-time. I usually work as a receptionist at a car dealership from morning until around evening. I married my husband Sam a few years ago, and now we live together with our daughter Eve. Sam and I have been friends since our school days. He was popular with women even back then, partly because of his handsome face, but also because he was used to dealing with them. For example, whenever I changed my hairstyle or nails, he would notice right away and compliment me. And he was good at being considerate, like carrying heavy stuffs. Because of his personality, Sam always had a girlfriend. So when Sam asked me out to dinner, I was very happy. At the time, Sam had just broken up with his girlfriend and was feeling lonely. That led to us going out together many times and eventually becoming an official couple. At the time, I was proud to be dating Sam, and for a while I was very happy. One day, I was waiting to meet Sam for our date. He usually arrived early, but that day, he hadn't shown up even after the meeting time had passed. I contacted him to let him know that I had arrived at the meeting place and waited for a while, but he didn't respond. I wondered if he might be feeling unwell, so I headed to the apartment where he lived alone. I pressed the intercom button at the entrance, but there was no answer. I thought maybe he had collapsed inside. Worried, I used the spare key to enter his apartment, but I couldn't find him in the living room or kitchen. I knocked on the bedroom door a few times, but there was no response. So I turned the knob and peeked inside. There was Sam sleeping on the bed. But he wasn't alone. There was another person next to him, with long brunette hair peeking out from under the blanket. The sight is something I still can't forget.
Sam, what is going on?
I shook him awake. At first, Sam seemed confused or still half asleep and didn't seem to understand the situation. Gradually, he woke up, and his face turned pale as he finally realized what had happened.
No, it's just that we were just resting, you know? Nothing happened.
Sam's excuse was so weak it was painful. There is no way you could not have done anything while not wearing clothes. At that moment, I was already planning to break up with him. But from the next day on, Sam kept apologizing and begging for me to come back. He even showed me his phone, saying he had deleted all the women's contacts. Eventually, I was swept away by his passion and decided to reconcile with him. After that, Sam stopped fooling around with other women. Or at least that's what I wish I could say. But he still regularly met with other women and had affairs. Every time, we talked about breaking up, but for some reason, I just couldn't completely cut ties with him. I got used to it and gradually began to think that as long as I could endure it, everything would be fine. Eventually, Sam and I got married, and we finally had a daughter, Eve. Sam truly adored her. After she was born, he stopped seeing other women in a flashy way. But I know that he still goes out to eat with female coworkers, claiming that he has to work overtime. Every time I expressed my displeasure about it. Next year, our daughter will be in elementary school and will become sensitive to many things. So I don't want Sam to do anything that would make her feel uneasy. I've told him this many times. But lately, he's given up and saying things like, I can't help cheating anymore. I'm so fed up with him that I can't even point out his flaws anymore. He's an unbearable husband, but he's the only father our daughter has. I can't do anything that would take her father away from her. One day, when I woke up with a bad headache, there were a lot of things that I needed to do. Mommy, there's no kindergarten today, so I want to go to the park. From the morning, my energetic daughter hugged me around my waist and begged me to take her there. I'm sorry, honey. I have a headache today. Can you go with Daddy instead? Sam, you have the day off today, right? While preparing breakfast, I asked Sam. Then Sam, who was sitting on the couch watching TV, suddenly said that he had to take a call and went outside. Just when I thought he wouldn't be long, he came back and started preparing his things, saying that he had suddenly received work. My daughter murmured that she understood, although it was clear that she was disappointed. After waiting for Sam to finish preparing, we all went downstairs with my daughter and headed to the parking lot. Sam uses his car to commute, so we went to see his off at the parking lot. Hey, Sam, is this a scratch? I noticed that the car bumper and a scratch in a place that wasn't there the last time I saw it. Oh, this? I accidentally rubbed it against the wall when I entered a store the other day. Well, that's my fault. And I didn't damage the wall or hurt myself, so it's okay. Sam said it was nothing. Okay, I'm off. Saying that, he got into his car and drove away quickly. It would have been better if he had told me about it earlier. As I was thinking about it, my headache suddenly got worse, and I started to feel cold. Maybe I should go to the hospital. Thinking that, I went to our usual hospital with my daughter. On the way to the hospital, my daughter, who had been sitting quietly, suddenly opened her mouth. I'm gonna meet a boy at a hospital today. We're gonna be friends. I thought it happened again. My daughter sometimes blurts out these prophetic things, and they actually come true. One time she said, Grandma must be in pain, poor thing. And the next day, my mother fell and got injured. Another time she said, I'm scared of shaking. And as soon as she hid under the table, the earthquake hit. The examples are endless. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence, but now I accept that it's just how it is. And this time, too, my daughter's prediction came true. On our way back from a checkup, in a small square within the hospital grounds, my daughter saw a boy about her age playing alone. As soon as she saw him, she ran up to him and said, Let's play together. Yeah. The boy played with my daughter. I watched for a while, but it seemed like the boy's guardian was not nearby. I became curious and asked the boy, Where's your mom? She's in the hospital. She'll be discharged soon. He then showed me a photo of himself and a woman who seems to be his mother, smiling at each other. They both looked very happy. I can't see my mommy while she's in the hospital, so I have this. The boy looked a little lonely as he said that. When I thought I wanted to say something to him, I saw a middle-aged man running towards us from afar, and a boy left with the man. Shall we go home then? When I called out to my daughter, she said happily, We'll play together again soon. That night, my condition was somewhat settled. I still had a headache, but it was bearable. As I prepared dinner while playing with my daughter, Sam, who had gone to work, came home. "Hey, Sam, can you wait a little longer for dinner?" When I said that, Sam responded with a strangely excited, "Yes, ma'am," and disappeared into the bathroom. I wonder if something good happened at work. A few minutes later, Sam returned from the bathroom humming a tune, and we all sat down to eat together as a family. After taking a bite of the side dish, I asked Sam, "You seem to be in a good mood. Did something good happen?" Sam's eyes shone, as if to say thank you for asking, and he replied, "Actually, I've been assigned to a business trip for the next 6 months. It's kinda sad to be away from you guys, but I'm looking forward to various things." I was very surprised, as he had never been on a business trip for such a long period of time before. Besides, what did he mean by various things to look forward to? Oh yeah? 6 months sounds too long though. But don't you carry it away too much or anything, okay? Keep in touch, okay? My daughter was listening in on our conversation, so I couldn't be too specific. But I wanted to warn him not to fool around with other women. Sam just vaguely nodded and turned on the TV to evade the issue. To cut the chase, Sam didn't contact me at all during his business trip. Not only did he not contact me, but he hardly ever answered my calls when I tried to reach him. It had been a few months since Sam left for his business trip, and I was reaching my limit. I sent him a message on the messaging app saying to contact me, and he finally called me back. He seemed to be in the middle of work and almost hung up, but I managed to arrange a video call for the next Sunday. I wanted to show my daughter her father's face. On Sunday, Sam finally kept his promise. My daughter was happy to see her father for the first time in a month, and she fell asleep satisfied after only a brief meeting. After that, my husband and I talked for about an hour before we decided to end the call. Just as we were about to say goodbye, our sleeping daughter suddenly woke up and pointed at the screen, saying, "Who is the angry woman behind you?" Huh? What? I tried to get a better look and leaned closer to the screen. I noticed a window in the right corner of the screen, and a woman with a terrifying expression was peeking through it. As soon as I saw her, chills ran down my spine, and I let out a scream. Sam also screamed loudly and turned around quickly, and then he collapsed. The woman outside the window made a rattling noise, and she entered the room and yelled at Sam. You married with a child? You've been lying to me all this time, saying you like me. How awful." The woman finished speaking and immediately grabbed Sam's collar. She forced him to stand up and delivered a powerful slap to his face. "Help, Brianna, please," Sam cried out pathetically. To be honest, I felt relieved seeing this scene. I didn't think a cheating man like him would change without something like this happening. It was bad for the deceived women, but he deserved it. Huh. That's the punishment you deserved, Sam. I said this and ended the video call. Immediately after, my daughter clung to me. "Go to Daddy. Please, Mommy." Huh? What's wrong? Daddy will be fine. However, my daughter insisted on her plea with a serious tone. "Daddy is not okay. He's lying down with his eyes closed and not moving." I had a hunch that it was her usual prophecy. I finally mustered the courage to take my daughter and drive to Sam's hotel. After arriving, As we were walking down the hallway, a woman rushed past us at an incredible speed. I could tell from her appearance that it was the same woman who had slapped Sam earlier. Her face no longer showed any anger, and instead, she seemed more frightened. I left my daughter waiting at the entrance and headed toward the living room alone. Inside, I saw an unfamiliar woman shouting and arguing with Sam. Although the previous woman's slap was intense, this woman was also incredibly fierce and had cornered Sam in the corner of the room. It was crucial to stop her before things got worse. In a hurry, I grabbed the woman from behind and held her in a chokehold, but she resisted fiercely. Suddenly, her arm hit Sam's chin, and he collapsed unconscious on the spot. It was as my daughter had predicted. At that moment, the woman seemed to have regained her composure and finally let go of all her strength. I slowly let go of her and cautiously approached her to speak. I'm not sure what's going on here, but are you also one of his mistress? The woman silently shook her head and finally looked at me. I recognized her face. Do you happen to have a son? My words triggered a strong reaction from the woman. How do you know? Just then, my daughter, who was supposed to be waiting in the entrance, appeared.
Is Daddy okay?
She seemed to be worried about Sam. He's just sleeping. Don't worry. I reassured her and picked up her in my arms. The woman began to cry and told us her story. My husband died suddenly last year, and my son and I were both devastated. But recently, we've been slowly getting back on our feet. And then this man drove his car into our yard. He destroyed all the plants my husband had taken care of. But he didn't even apologize. He just ran away. I couldn't forgive him for that. The woman clenched her fist in frustration. It was the reason why Sam's car bumper had been scratched. Despite being my own husband, he was a terrible person. So I've been searching for this person to have him apologize. It took so long because I fell ill and had to be hospitalized. I see. I'm sorry for what my husband did. I lowered my head and apologized. I couldn't help but do so. Then the woman hurriedly said, You don't need to apologize. Your husband is the one in the wrong. But I feel like I just got over it now. Is that so? Well, look at his stupid face. Instead of being fixated on such a worthless man, I should also look forward. We both feel refreshed now. I'm sorry for the trouble. The woman said that and left the room. I thought about waking him up, but I stopped myself. This man wasn't worth helping. Shall we go home? Just the two of us, okay? Afterwards, I told Sam that I wanted a divorce. There was plenty of evidence of his infidelity, and he was clearly at fault. At first, Sam desperately tried to persuade me not to get a divorce, but it was too late. Besides, he was just all talk, so I couldn't trust him anymore. I hired a lawyer and sent a registered letter to Sam's workplace. Well, he said various desperate things, but of course, I had custody of her daughter. I also requested compensation for damages and child support, which took some time, but at least the matter was resolved. After that, our daughter became a primary school student, and as predicted, she met that boy again. He was a year older than her, and even though they were in different grades, they occasionally played together during recess. She said she was going to visit the boys' house next time to help plant new trees in the garden. I hope both my daughter and the boy grow up healthy and strong. I wished for that under the clear blue sky.